2025 could be one of the best years yet for driver releases. In today's video, we have the brand new TaylorMade Qi35 range of drivers, and we're going to compare them against the brand new Callaway ELYTE range of drivers. Hi everyone, my name is James Robinson and welcome back to this YouTube channel. Now, I think these could be two of the biggest heavyweight driver releases of the modern era, or certainly of 2025. So today we're going to test them out on the golf course and of course in the studio to see which driver potentially would suit me, which driver potentially would suit you, and of course to see which one goes the furthest. So without any further ado, let's look at all of these heads. So there's lots of different head options in, of course, the Callaway ELYTE range of drivers, 3 in total. You can see we have the Triple Diamond, the Standard ELYTE range of driver, and the ELYTE X. Now these are 3 heads which I think there's going to be one out there to suit you all. Today we're going to focus on the core head, so the Standard Callaway ELYTE driver. Now the TaylorMade range does have 5 different heads. So as you'll see, we have the 10K head, so the max head. This isn't necessarily called the Qi35 10K like the Qi10 was, but it does feature a ton of forgiveness. We have the standard head, which we're going to be looking at today, the core head. So this features that speed pocket. It actually has movable weight technology in there as well, which I think is a fantastic option for a core head. And we of course have the Triple Diamond element, the LS version, which I think is going to be a really good head-to-head. If you want to see that, please make sure you do hit that subscribe button below for the future videos. Now we look at these 2 standard heads, and I think we've got movable weight technology offering 2 very different options here. So in the Callaway we do have a 13-gram movable weight where we can move it from neutral to fade to draw, and in the TaylorMade we do feature that movable 3-gram and 13-gram weight to change CG options. So both the biggest brands in golf go in for slightly different options this year when it comes to what to have with their movable weight technologies. Now carbon plays a huge role in both of these drivers, but not just any carbon, because we of course feature the thermoforged carbon crown on top of the Callaway ELYTE driver, and we have chromium carbon this one. We have steel, we have aluminium, we have tungsten and titanium that all works together seamlessly, creating the perfect blend of form and function. There you go. So we've got these all set in the neutral setting. So we've got the heavyweight back here in this little kind of inertia generator in the Qi35. If we talk about looks before we tee off, which one would you go with? Because I think they both look very good in their own right. I actually really like that kind of multi-material design there, that multi-composite design with the Callaway. But I do think that infinity crown with the TaylorMade does look a little bit more kind of modern and sleek. So it depends what you do want with it. Shelf appeal wise, when we look at both these clubs, on the bottom, we actually feature carbon on the bottom of the Qi35 and the movable weights. I think shelf appeal maybe goes to the Callaway just with the flash of green. Like I wish the Qi35 had a bit more of this green element on it. I know that doesn't make a difference to most people and it's not going to make a difference to anyone's performance, but I think it would look nice. Right, TaylorMade first. Quite a tough tee shot. The wind is off the left, so we're going to aim left-hand side, let the wind bring it back. That's a lovely big high ball flight, fading back nicely to the middle of the fairway. I've hit that slightly toey actually, but it still performed quite well for me, still felt quite nice. The thing about this 4th gen carbon face, I think it does look better. I think it sounds better as well. So for me, I'm a really, really big fan of that. Now, Callaway. On top, you know, if you want a really modern looking head, that looks fantastic, doesn't it? It really does look good. We're going to try for the same shot, so just a nice high fade. Let that wind bring it back. Look at that. You could say it's launched maybe a touch too high, but I've struck it really well. I'll be interested to see just where they are down in the fairway, because I think that's 2 pretty fair hits for the opener of this comparison. So having tested these drivers all today, so we're filming the reviews for all of these drivers, I've had a really interesting morning with them because I'm amazed how similar they all feel. And of course the Callaway does feature that AI 10 times smart face. They both feel very similar, and for a titanium face, albeit AI driven, to feel similar to a carbon face shows just where both these brands are kind of launching these drivers in a sound and feel scenario. They're both trying to get them to get a certain pitch and to get a certain feel. Now, a lot of people won't care about sound and feel, But personally, if you're spending the money that these drivers are going to be, I do care about sound and feel. And I think TaylorMade have caught up with that sound and feel element. And Callaway, I think the big thing that Callaway haven't done, which I'm pleased, is they haven't ruined the feel from the Paradigm, because they've got rid of the 360 carbon chassis. I think it's nowhere to be seen, but it still feels and sounds fantastic, which I think is a huge positive for Callaway, because if you are trying to just squeeze marginal gains out, often you can start to kind of ruin the broth a little bit, and they haven't done that. But huge props to TaylorMade for getting that sound and feel elevated up there, because a lot of people didn't like the feel of the Stealth 2 or the Qi10, unless you're Bobby, because Bobby loves it, don't you?
Oh, I love it.
Now, regards to performance on those first two shots, you can see we have two drives bang smack in the middle of the fairway, really impressive left to right dispersion. The longest one I think there is, of course, the first one we hit the TaylorMade. It was just a little bit lower. I found the Callaway did come out that a little bit higher, but let's test it again. We've got 2 holes into the wind now, and with these core drivers, it's interesting to see how we can get these to perform into the wind, especially with a big old lake on the left-hand side, which I always hit on the next hole. Hopefully not this time. Now, head cover game, I think Callaway have knocked it out of the park this year with their colour schemes. It's very reminiscent of the old Epic and Epic Flash drivers, and I really do like that. Like, it's a gorgeous looking green, isn't it, as well? A lot of people won't be bothered about that, but I mean, I do cringe when I see a white head cover, I must say. They're definitely designed for the tour pros who are chasing the sun and not us who are just chasing the rain and the drizzle. That, I don't know. Some people might like that. I think the bags are going to be very difficult to look good because it's just a big silver thing, isn't it? But essentially, I think Callaway really knocked it out of the park with that. But looking at the soles of them again, a lot of people do comment in my video saying, James, why do you spend so long looking at the sole of a driver when you never look at the sole of a driver when you're hitting it? And that's a great point. But I do think it's your interaction with it. When you stood talking to your friends and you just kind of stood here ordering at the halfway house, or Bobby would be, or something like that. Essentially, this is what people see. What? Can that not make it in? And also, it's a shelf appeal aspect, isn't it? So very interested to see how we have those forward weights the same. What should I go first?
What did you go last time?
I went TaylorMade first. We'll go Callaway first this time. And I don't like this hole. I hate it. There's a big lake on the left. It's full at the moment as well, full of hopes and dreams and aspirations and water. Right, we're into the wind. The fairway's narrow here, isn't it? Come on. A couple of good drives. I have been hitting both these well today, actually. That's not a very good start from that. Yeah, I'm really impressed with how I have been swinging with them. And that's a lovely start with the Callaway. I do feel like I'm getting a lovely flight window with the Callaway, I must say. I expected that to fade back more, and it hasn't done. It's in the left-hand rough by the 150 marker, but I quite like that it's not fading as much as potentially I have been fading the ball. It's almost like a straighter ball flight whilst having the neutral setting as well. If I really wanted to, I could move that weight, obviously, from the neutral into the draw to try and battle that fade even more, but I don't feel like I necessarily need to, and I feel like that should just be like a kind of fitting element of the driver. Right, TaylorMade, let's see if we get a similar ball flight here. The head looks so big for a core model, really elongated, loads of surface area. Lovely. That one has faded back perfectly to the middle of the fairway. Again, a nice low ball flight. I'll be interested to see how far they are for distance. TaylorMade was a little bit lower, I think, and the fact that you can hit a head that looks like this, nice and powerful and low, really does show what TaylorMade are doing with those CG locations and, of course, the MOI mixing together to give you the kind of best of both worlds between a really forgiving driver and a really low spin driver that goes a long way. Okay, so 2 pretty interesting tee shots there on this 17th hole into the wind. I hate this golf hole, but the Callaway has carried the hazard, which in winter, I'm really, really impressed with. It didn't fade back, but I'm quite enjoying that element of it. As you can see, the TaylorMade did fade back into the middle of the fairway, but the TaylorMade I don't think would have carried the hazard with that strike and with that shot. I think the Callaway has done really well to carry the hazard, so take of that what you will. 2 pretty good tee shots, to be honest. Like, unless you are in the hazard there, I'm going to take that all day long. Let's jump inside. Let's see what the differences were between these 2 drivers when testing them for numbers, and then let's finish it out on the 18th tee. Guys, which one would you have? Am I boring you, Bob? That was a yawn, wasn't it?
No, it wasn't.
That was a yawn.
No, it wasn't.
How dare
No,
you?
it wasn't.
How dare you? So having tested both these big heavyweight drivers, both inside and outside, what did we see when it came to the numbers difference? Now obviously I have tested these clubs on separate days, but I wanted to test them in the same day. That's why we've done this test at the same time. And we actually got some quite interesting numbers. So the good hits were up towards that kind of 270, 275 yard carry mark, which I do like. But also the miss hits were quite interesting with both clubs. The Qi35 miss hits were around that kind of 265 yard marker, which I'm quite pleased with for a bad hit. Often the spin would deviate quite a little bit, but for me with the Callaway ELYTE driver, it seemed very, very stable and very, very positive to hit. So realistically, what were the number differences with these two heavyweight drivers, and just which one should you potentially have in your bag if you're a numbers guy, if you like to see the spin rates, the ball speed, the launch angle and everything else? Well, for me, I think it's very hard to cut across both these drivers. I think it's very hard to separate them, especially when you start to look at the forgiveness element in the core models like we are testing today. So initially with the numbers, we did see very similar ball speeds, just over the 160 on average. We did have a couple of bad swings as well as the good ones in there, which has brought those down, but spin rates almost identical, carry just a couple of yards in it, and as you can see, total distance just a couple of yards in it as well. So realistically, which one of these drivers is the best? I'm struggling to separate them on numbers. Let's jump back outside, let's talk a little bit more tech, a little bit more looks, and see what we can find. So numbers wise, it was always going to take some beating for one or the other, and I'm quite happy with how both these drivers have performed. For me, the LS versions do perform that little bit better for numbers when you come out on the golf course, and you probably do wish you would have gone for one of the core models because they are a lot more forgiving than the LS models. Let's go Callaway first, send it over the corner. The more and more I use this standard Callaway ELYTE, the more and more I really enjoy the look of it. It does look fantastic. And that's one of the best drives I've hit all day. I think the ability to flight it down, still generate the perfect kind of loft window and spin window and flight window and just windows everywhere, Bob, haven't they? I've got new windows at my house. Do you know how much they cost?
I don't want to know.
Right. QI, a lot more than a driver. Qi35. Come on. Same shot. It's a really good finale. That's powerful. It's a little bit further left, but it has avoided the trees. So let's get down there. We've cut the corner with both of them, see potentially which one's done best there, and discuss which one potentially would go in Bobby's bag. Ooh. For 2000. Well, your bag. Like, not you guys, because you're important, not you.
You said me.
It's not all about you, Bobby.
No, this whole thing.
This whole thing's about me.
No, this whole thing, all of this, it's all about me.
So guys, as you can see, the TaylorMade a little bit further down in the left-hand side, again, was a little bit pulley, maybe similar to the shot with the Callaway on the previous hole. Callaway, I think that's the best swing I've made throughout the day, testing all of these drivers after lots and lots of shots with them all. And I must admit, I am erring towards the Callaway for me this year. I do think it feels fantastic, it looks great. I can't wait to test the LS versions together, because that potentially will be the one that I'm going to put in the bag. So guys, stay tuned for that. Hit that subscribe button if you want to see that. And we're going to test all these against the PXGs, against the Mizunos, against the Cobras, against the Strixons, against... There's so many, isn't there? There's so many. There's Wilsons, there's Titleists. Stay tuned. We'll see you there.